Account closing fee? Okay, leave my account open, forever. A long time ago I worked at a company that gave me a retirement account through Fidelity. I eventually changed jobs to a different company that provided a retirement account through another provider. So, I call up Fidelity to roll my old account funds into my new one. Fidelity can do that for me, but there is a $50 account closing fee. Why do they have an account closing fee? Because duck me. That's why. I tried to be clever and say leave $1 in the account, but they require a $50 minimum in case you do want to close at a later date. Cue malicious compliance. Okay, roll over all my funds except for $50. Keep the account open. Send me quarterly updates on my $50. Invest it. Make it grow. I now have a tradition. Once a year I call Fidelity to transfer over all but $50 of my account balance, usually just a check for a few dollars. By this point, I've cost them way more than $50 of service, postage, and checks they mail to me, but I still have a few decades to retirement. Let's see how much I can cost them before they give me my $50. I'll go to my grave with that account still open if it means Fidelity never gets the account closing fee. Why? Because duck them. Edit, I have a pretty embarrassing update. I called up Fidelity this morning after this post blew up to see if I could get them to waive the closing fee. Turns out they got rid of the closing fee years ago. I never bothered to ask about it after that initial call with them. That is how malicious I am with my compliance. I've been needlessly ducking with them for no reason. Anyway, the guy asked if I wanted to close my account. I told him nah. I'm in too deep. Let it ride. Now to the comments. You have a hobby until you retire. An annual hobby. You could build a new calendar around it. It'd be like New Year's Day, with a ceremonial transferring of funds to celebrate. I dare you to cross-post this to r/Fidelity Investments. It would appear that someone else has chosen violence in OP's stead. Link? Same. I used to have a PNC account when I lived in the States. When I moved to Canada I told my bank I'd no longer need the account but there was going to be a $50 fee to permanently close it. I thought, well, what's stopping me from withdrawing all but a few pennies? And the answer? Absolutely nothing. I've had 13 cents in that account for almost 5 years now. They send me an email summary every single month with zero activity on it. I just delete it and move on. Lamau. My mom had a checking account at HSBC that gave us nothing but hassles. Wouldn't let me get her money out as a POA. Had to threaten them with legal action to let me withdraw her large CD that she needed to live on. Once the checking account dropped due to e-bills that hit the account, they started hitting her with $15 a month fees. Drove the account negative. Kept hitting her with $15 a month fees. They sent the account to collection. We ignored them. They sent threatening letters. We ignored them. Eventually, they just went away. I do this with an old account myself. They mail me something at least 20 to 30 times per year, sometimes heavy stuff, so I know I'm costing them more than is in the account to keep it going. I used to change allocations frequently, which always triggered several pieces of mail, but my life partner always witched about me getting so much mail from them. Where I live, the company you work for sends your pay to a general bank and then that bank sends your pay to your bank. Very confusing. When you start a new place of work, They tell you which bank you need to send in your bank information to. Well, first time I got paid it took the general bank a long time to process my payment info, so they opened a free account for me to hold my money while they did their job. Unfortunately for them, there were still 34 cents left in my account when they finally transferred my money. If it was because of interest or an error of some sort, I don't know. I do know, however, that every year for 7 years after that they sent out a balance slip with my 34 cents on it. That's some Futurama shit right there. Now you only have to wait 1,000 years and you'll be rich. My mother has had an account with 3 cents in it for over 20 years now because of a cancellation fee. For years we got a yearly overview letter for the account to proclaim its mighty balance. Then they went paperless, and without having any up-to-date email on file, I assume that account is still sitting there with its riches. That would be a fun family event. Once a year, get everyone together with some good food and drink. Call the bank on speakerphone and ask how your family's inheritance fund is doing. Better yet, when you call, act flabbergasted and confused as to how they grew it so little. You mean to tell me you only made me 13 cents? What am I paying you for? That money was my nest egg. Then make them explain it and say, yeah, not good enough, I need a better explanation, and keep doing it until they have to explain it like a toddler. Then end the call saying thank you, it's been great, talk to you next year. Stockpile does this for me. I closed all my accounts and had them send me a check, but in the interim, I guess my accounts earned 29 cents. We're going on 6 years of them sending me updates on the 29 cents not doing anything. The postage alone makes me giggle every time. Campus Federal tries to charge people an account dormant fee after so long, deducting $8 each month without even telling you. I called them up once and got refunded and told them my account is active, I will let you know if it's dormant. Then I noticed they took the $8 again, which over several months ended up being like $35, so I called them again. It was a hassle every time. I had nearly 20k in there, but I took out all but the money except the fee that they had refunded me. Except for the $30. I leave that in there as a reminder, constantly checking to make sure they don't try to take it. I have a Fidelity account. They had a close account fee and no minimum balance. But they did have an automated system that kicked in if your account ever got below a threshold. They've been sending me checks for 13 cents to 28 cents for years in an attempt to close out my account. I laugh with glee each time I tear up one of those checks. Reminds me of my first bank account. My mom opened it for me at Wells Fargo for my 12th or 13th birthday and put $100 in. I eventually spent $60 to $70, and for some reason my card was declined the next time I tried to purchase something. Went to the bank to find out why. Turns out my money was in a $35 plus account, and since I had $1 or $2 less than that, they had to charge me $5 to move it to a smaller account. Unfortunately, that account was a $30 plus account, and after the $5 moving charge I didn't have $30 in the account. So, they helped me out and moved my money into a $25 plus account. Whoops. I didn't have that after the $5 moving charge fee. Gotta go smaller. It only costs $5. They did that till I had only a couple dollars left. Duck banks. Duck Wells Fargo. We've been customers for over 20 years and they are pulling some very illegal shit with us. Our attorney is going to make contact. I hope you take them for everything they're worth. I was a child and they stole from me legally and literally. Something is not right, morally, at the heart of the industry. Deleting original comment, as it is really not a good thing to do, even to unscrupulous companies like this. Lamau, I think OP's gonna like you. I moved cross-country for a few years and set up with a local credit union there. When I moved back to my home area, I had to keep the account open until I could open an account here in the area, so I had some place for my job to continue to deposit my paychecks. After a few weeks here, I was able to get settled in, get a permanent address in the area, and open a new account here. I transferred all the funds to my new account, except the $25 minimum account balance at the old credit union, then called the old credit union to close the account and get my $25. They told me that's not something they could do over the phone or via email, and that I'd have to come into a branch to close an account. I explained to them that I lived 2,800 miles away and coming into a branch was not an option, but they didn't care. That was 6 years ago. As far as I can tell, that account is still open with $25 in it. It's probably $25.18 if at a credit union. By this point, I've cost them way more than $50 of service, postage, and checks they mail to me. Don't forget the hourly wages for the people answering the phone. This is absolutely real. I work in health insurance as a UX designer, and when we've discussed ways to automate and streamline processes, one of this biggest things is every call is X dollars. And X is usually more than $20 because of all the infrastructure involved with everything. What that means is that they want things like this to happen to justify the bloat on their labor and reporting. I work in a large company, and it's the same thing when we go to budget every year. Everyone maxes out their expenditures in Q3, so when we go to budget, everyone cries for more money. What happens in the first part of the next year? We slash labor or delay hiring / cut services, then wrap that up into our margin improvement report. This all looks nice to the VPs and helps float that stock magically 5% higher every year when there's not a pandemic. This is just one of the ways they cheat labor, and with the difficulty everyone is having hiring, this is a win for the company overall. 10 minutes of work to justify training, retention, payroll increase, healthcare, facilities, etc.